My mother would have known that she'd been deceived. She was failed not just by a rogue reporter, but by leaders of the BBC who looked the other way rather than asking the tough questions. What if I told you that 13 words, just 13 carefully chosen words, could shatter a royal family forever? Those certain members have decided to get into bed with the devil, right? To rehabilitate their image. But the moment that rehabilitation comes at the detriment of others, me, other members of my family, then that's where I draw the line. Picture this. It's dawn at Buckingham Palace. The marble halls are silent. Staff members move like ghosts, avoiding eye contact. Everyone knows something monumental is about to happen. But nobody dares speak it out loud. Then it drops, effective immediately. The royal family will no longer engage with Meghan Markle in any capacity. Before we go any further, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because what I'm about to reveal will change everything you thought you knew about the royal family. No diplomatic softening, no royal courtesy, no room for misinterpretation. Prince William, the future king, the man known for decades of composure, had just done the unthinkable. He'd completely severed ties with his brother's wife. But here's what nobody's telling you. This wasn't a snap decision. This was inevitable. And the reason why? It's far darker than anyone imagined. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had to cut someone completely out of your life? Someone you once trusted? Maybe even loved? What would it take for you to make that call? One massive betrayal? Or would it be 1,000 tiny cuts? Small betrayals piling up until you didn't recognize the person anymore? For Prince William, the answer is chilling. Because what we're about to uncover isn't just a family squabble gone public. It's a calculated power play that's been building for years. Think about it. Through explosive divorces, public affairs, leaked tapes, and media scandals that would have crippled any ordinary institution, the royal family keeps standing. But nothing, and I mean nothing, has fractured the monarchy quite like the Meghan era. From Hollywood glamour to podcast drama, every move Meghan made seemed to overshadow the institution itself. And every word she spoke reopened wounds the monarchy had spent years trying to heal. So what finally pushed William over the edge? According to a palace insider who was there that fateful morning, he tried to handle it quietly. He tried to reason with Harry. But their last conversation, it didn't go well. That conversation wasn't about titles. It wasn't about media appearances. It was about betrayal. And when you hear what was actually said in that final phone call between the brothers, a conversation that was secretly recorded, you'll understand why there's no going back. The announcement. The palace corridors were unusually quiet that morning. According to an aide who was present, you could feel the tension like static in the air. The phones had stopped ringing. Even the press office, normally buzzing before sunrise, was completely still. Then the silence broke. From behind closed doors, Prince William's voice echoed, "Release it!" Those two words changed everything. Within minutes, the statement was live. Within an hour, the internet was ablaze. Within a day, the monarchy had split into two warring camps. But here's what makes this truly shocking. The announcement wasn't just about Meghan. It was about control. Think about it. For years, William watched as the royal narrative slipped through his fingers. Every scandal overshadowed by Meghan's drama. Every family gathering turned into potential clickbait. Every charity event becoming a comparison game. The crown was losing its grip, and William knew it. Something happened in the days before that statement. Something that pushed William past his breaking point. Multiple palace sources point to a private report, a classified dossier compiled by royal security, detailing repeated protocol breaches, confidential leaks to media contacts, and strategic manipulation of palace narratives. But there was something else. Something more personal. There had been a heated meeting between King Charles, Catherine, and William just days before. Some insiders claimed the king urged restraint. But William reportedly said, "We can't let sentiment destroy the throne." Those are powerful words coming from the man who once held the family together after Diana's death. The same man who shielded Harry from scrutiny, who stood beside him through heartbreak and controversy. So what changed? Or maybe the better question is, who changed? Here's what most people missed about William's timing. This wasn't emotional. It was strategic. The statement was released just before dawn London time, when American audiences were asleep and British media was still preparing for the day. It gave the palace a crucial 6-hour advantage to control the narrative before Meghan's team could respond. Calculated? Absolutely. This wasn't just a statement. It was warfare. One palace insider described William's mood the night before as eerily calm. He wasn't angry. He wasn't emotional. He was resolute. It was as if he'd already mourned the relationship and moved on. And that's what makes this so chilling. Because royal decisions rarely happen with emotion. But when they do, they echo for decades. But here's the truth nobody's talking about. This decision came at an enormous price. William may have won the battle for control, but he may have lost his brother forever. Consider what this means for Harry. Évekig William volt a stabil fél, a közvetítő, a bácsi, aki fenntartotta a békét. Most ez a béke szertefoszlott. Harry néhány közeli barátja azt mondta, hogyan teljesen váratlanul érezte magát. Mások azt állítják, hogyan tudta a bejelentést, de remélte, hogyan Vilmos enyhíteni fogja azt. De nem így történt. Vilmos megfogalmazása. Klinikai, közvetlen és végleges. Egyáltalán nem hagyott teret a megbékélésnek. De e hidegség mögött valami mélyebb rejtőzik. Egy igaz a korona védelmére. Még akkor is, ha ez azt jelenti, hogy összetöri a testvére szívét. Mi is váltotta ki ezt valójában? Egyes jelentések egy privát felvételre utalnak. Egy hangfájlra, amely Meghan és egy magasrangú királyi segédtiszt közötti heves szóváltást tartalmaz. Mások kiszivárgott szöveges üzeneteket említenek, amelyek szándékos manipulációra utalnak. Bármi is volt az oka, William elérte a teljes összeomlási pontját, nem a gyűlölet, hanem a kimerültség miatt. Ahogy az egyik segítője fogalmazott, csak korlátozott ideig védheted meg a családodat. Mielőtt elkezded magát az intézményt védeni. Kezded már látni a nagyobb képet? Mert még csak most kezdjük. A titkos akta. És itt vesz sötét fordulatot a történet. Van egy akta, egy minősített dosszié, amely a Buckingham-palota mélyén van elzárva. Kódolva, titkosítva, a legtöbben elfelejtették, amíg a vihar vissza nem kényszerítette a napvilágra. A királyi család mindenről feljegyzést vezet. Jegyzetek, e-mailek, eseményjelentések, sőt, még a személyzet tagjainak alkalmi megfigyelései is. Semmi sem tűnik el teljesen. Nem akkor, amikor a monarchia az irányításon múlik. Ez a fájl más volt. A benfentesek belső feljegyzésnek nevezték, egy csendesen összeállított dossziénak, amely Meghan Markle viselkedését részletezte a királyi rendszerben töltött évei alatt. Kevésen tudtak a létezéséről. Még kevesebben merték megemlíteni, míg nem Vilmos elrendelte az újranyitását. Késő este, a Clarence House egyik félhomályos tárgyalójában Vilmos a palota főtitkárával szemben ült. Hozd ide a dossziét, mondta Vilmos. A segédtiszt habozott. Uram! Ahhoz a dokumentumhoz évek óta senki sem férhetett hozzá. Erzsébet királynő parancsára lepecsételték. William válasza hátborzongató volt. Akkor nyisd ki! Az enyém a vére és az ő felelőssége. Hajnalra az asztalán volt. Egy vastag, Piers Burr mapa. Rajta a bizalmas, 5-ös szint felirattal. A benne lévő tartalom fájdalmasan egyértelművé tette William döntését. Eleinte a biztonsági rések jelentéktelennek tűntek. Tanúvallomások a finom manipulációkról, Meghan hivatalos kommunikációs csatornák megkerülésével kapcsolatos esetekről és a személyzetre nehezedő nyomásról. Hogyan tegyenek közzé jogosulatlan nyilatkozatokat. De aztán jöttek a nagyobb szabálysértések. Közvetlen kapcsolat az újságírókkal, akik információkat szolgáltattak a közvélemény megítélésének átalakítására. Bizalmas részletek a királyi család magánbeszélgetéseiből, amelyek napokkal később szó szerint megjelentek az amerikai magazinokban. És az interjúk, valamint az exkluzív cikkek stratégiai időzítése. Minden jelentést aláírtak, időbélyegzővel láttak el és ellenőriztek. De nem csak a kiszivárogtatások nyugtalanították Williamet, hanem a minta, minden egyes cselekedet, minden egyes kijelentés, minden egyes exkluzív interjú. It was all part of something larger. This wasn't chaos. This was coordinated influence. The most damaging section, buried deep in the file, was something labeled Psychological Impact Assessment, a confidential report compiled by Palisade. The document described significant emotional distress among staff members, patterns of intimidation, and an atmosphere of manipulation and volatility. It included anonymous testimonies. The language was devastating. She made me question my memory of events. I was told I was too British to understand her. She cried in front of cameras, but screamed behind doors. Reading those lines, William's face hardened, not because of anger, but because of sorrow. For years, he had defended Meghan in public. He'd insisted she just needed time, support, understanding. But now, seeing the evidence laid bare, he realized the truth. What the world called racism, or resistance to modernity, might have been something else entirely. Manipulation cloaked in grievance, Catherine's secret notes. But the most shocking section was still ahead. Near the back of the folder was a sealed envelope labeled Private Notes. H. Catherine. Inside were personal reflections, handwritten, elegant, and heartbreakingly honest. Catherine described feeling isolated, undermined, and even gaslit by Meghan during their brief overlap in royal duties. One passage read, "She smiles so beautifully when the cameras are on, but in private, it's as if she's studying us, collecting details to use later. There's warmth, but it feels strategic." Another line struck William particularly hard. "I fear Harry's loyalty is being tested daily. She tells him that family doesn't matter when the world is watching, but I see how much he aches for his brother." That line broke something inside him. William closed the folder and sat in silence for a long time. Then he whispered to his aide, "No one outside these walls sees this." Not yet. The leak that changed everything. But the existence of that file didn't stay secret for long. Within days, word leaked to select palace insiders. Then journalists began sniffing around. Headlines exploded. Secret royal file. The truth about Meghan. Palace dossier could rewrite history. What William knows that we don't. Meghan's lawyers immediately issued stern warnings. Any release of private correspondence constitutes defamation and invasion of privacy. But here's the twist. William hadn't released anything. He hadn't said a word. That silence became his shield, and Meghan's greatest fear, because she knew that if he ever did make the contents public, her carefully curated image could crumble overnight. But who leaked the file's existence? The palace blamed Meghan's camp. Meghan blamed the palace. Those close to William suspected someone far more dangerous, a disillusioned insider who wanted to expose both sides. Can you imagine the pressure William was under, holding evidence that could destroy his sister-in-law while trying to protect the institution he was born to lead? But the story gets even more intense, because what happened next would force William to make an impossible choice. The phone call, the conversation that ended everything. It was supposed to be short, just a few minutes between two brothers, a chance to talk, to reason, to stop the inevitable before it happened. Instead, it became the conversation that tore the last thread holding the royal family together. It was early evening in California when Harry picked up his phone. His hands were trembling. He'd already heard the rumors, whispers that William was preparing something monumental, but he hadn't wanted to believe it. When the call finally connected, Harry's voice came through tight and rushed. "Will, what's going on?" There was a pause long enough for Harry to feel the weight of what was coming. Then William answered quietly but firmly, "You already know." Harry exhaled sharply. "Don't do this, mate. Not like this. We can sort this out." "It's too late," William said. "I've made my decision." Harry's tone changed, shifting from pleading to defensive. "You can't just cut her off like that. She's my wife. You're punishing her for speaking her mind." William's response was ice cold. She didn't just speak her mind. She's been speaking mine too, and twisting it to suit her story. The words hung there like a blade. Harry went quiet for a moment, then snapped. "You think you're protecting the crown? You're just proving her right. Everything she said about how cold this family is, you're giving her ammunition." William's voice remained level but grew colder. "You call it cold. I call it control. I can't let the institution collapse because of one woman's quest for attention." It was brutal. It was final. Harry's voice cracked. "You sound just like them, like the courtiers, like the people who destroyed Mum." That hit hard. William took a sharp breath, his composure faltering for the first time. "Don't you dare compare this to her. Mum never leaked state documents to the press. She never used her title to manipulate a global audience. She was hunted." Meghan volunteered. Silence. Thick. Unforgiving. Across the ocean is that California home. Harry felt something breaking inside him. "You think this is about Meghan?" William continued, his tone low. "It's not. It's about you. About what you've allowed her to do. You've given her the keys to everything we swore to protect." Harry clenched his jaw. "You've changed, Will." "No," William said softly. "You have." That sentence landed like a hammer. There's something devastating that happens in conversations like this. Two people who once spoke in code, who once finished each other's sentences, suddenly sound like strangers reading from rival scripts. "Do you even remember what it felt like?" Harry said, finally, to be the one they whisper about, the one the tabloids tear apart. "You think you're safe now? But wait until they turn on you. They always do." "I can handle that," William replied. "What I can't handle is the monarchy being dragged through the mud by its own members." "That's rich," Harry shot back. "You think the monarchy is pure? You think it's perfect? You're just too scared to admit the system's broken." William's voice sharpened. "Then why are you still using the titles?" That question hit Harry like ice water. He didn't answer, because there was no answer that didn't make him look hypocritical. "You say you want out, but you keep one foot in," William went on. "You say you want privacy, but you sell your story. You can't have it both ways." "You don't understand," Harry said, almost shouting now. "I understand perfectly," William replied. "You chose her over us, over the family, over everything Mum wanted for us." Harry's breath caught. "Don't bring her into this." But William didn't stop. "She's the reason I'm this, Harry, because she wouldn't have wanted this circus. You know that." For the first time, Harry didn't have a comeback. For a few seconds, neither spoke. The silence stretched so long that one aide who overheard through the door said it felt like the ghost of Diana was in the room. Then Harry said quietly, "So that's it? You're cutting her off for good?" "For good," William confirmed. "There's no path back from this. Not anymore." "Then you're cutting me off too," Harry said. William didn't answer. That silence was the answer. Harry's voice cracked, the anger fading into grief. I thought after everything, you'd still have my back. I did, William said softly. Until you stopped having ours. The line went quiet again. Then William said, "Goodbye, Harry." And the call ended. He didn't slam the phone. He didn't shout. He just hung up, placed the phone on the desk, and stared at the family crest embossed on a nearby envelope. Across the ocean, Harry stood frozen, phone in hand, staring at his reflection in the glass door. Meghan entered seconds later, saw his face and knew immediately. "He did it, didn't he?" she asked. Harry nodded. "It's over." She walked closer, touching his arm gently. "Then we tell our side." And that's how it began. The counter-offensive. Within 24 hours, details of the call leaked to the press. The phrasing was deliberate. Prince William's icy tone left Harry devastated. It painted William as emotionless, cold, heartless, a man prioritizing image over blood. But the palace didn't deny it. Not a word, because William knew that silence, when used strategically, can be the loudest response of all. Now ask yourself, who do you believe? The future king trying to protect an institution, or the exiled prince defending the woman he loves? Because what happens next will make you question everything you thought you knew about this royal war. Meghan's counterattack. It took less than 24 hours for Meghan's silence to break. In Montecito, as California light poured across marble floors, Meghan stared at her phone, not with shock, but with icy disbelief. Harry was pacing, hands jammed in his pockets, face pale with exhaustion. He begged William to reconsider. But now the message was public, permanent. Royal decree made digital. At first, Meghan sat still, but her silence wasn't calm. It was the kind of silence that simmers before eruption. She read the statement again and again. No longer engage in any capacity. Preserve the dignity of the crown. Consistent disregard for institutional boundaries. To Meghan, those words were an insult, a dismissal of everything she'd fought for. Within hours, Meghan's team gathered publicists, PR strategists, 2 new consultants flown in from Los Angeles. The plan wasn't to issue an official response immediately. It was to control the narrative. Silence implies guilt, one advisor said. Not when silence looks like grace, Meghan encountered. We let the press attack first. Then we respond. Not with anger, but with elegance, truth and dignity. But her definition of truth had changed. By the next morning, a friend close to Meghan had spoken to a major U.S. outlet. Meghan is heartbroken by William's decision, especially after all she endured. She hoped time would heal their rift, but it seems forgiveness isn't part of the royal vocabulary. The headline went viral within hours. It was textbook Meghan. Soft words with barbed edges. A message wrapped in sympathy, but aimed like a bullet. 3 days later, an exclusive leak appeared in a Hollywood Insider column, hinting that Meghan had been approached for a documentary-style project chronicling her experience of royal life and resilience. Coincidence? Of course not. The leak was deliberate. A warning shot. If the palace wanted to play public image chess, Meghan was saying she had the bigger audience. But beneath the bravado was something else. Fear. Because William's announcement had done damage. Powerful contacts who once lined up to work with her began hesitating. Invitations quietly disappeared. Brand partnerships stalled. Overnight, she'd gone from modern royal rebel to official royal exile. One poll in the U.K. found that public sympathy for Meghan had dropped to its lowest level ever. The podcast strike. 2 weeks after William's statement, Meghan sat down for a new podcast, the first since the scandal. She smiled gently. The lighting was warm, the tone calm. But beneath that calmness was steel. I think when you try to speak your truth, you have to accept that not everyone wants to hear it. And sometimes the people closest to you will silence you first. She never mentioned names. She didn't need to. By the time she ended with some people, value the image of a crown more than the hearts beneath it. The internet erupted again. Supporters called her brave. Critics called her manipulative. But one thing was certain, she had stolen back the spotlight. Inside Kensington Palace, William listened to the audio in silence. His aides waited for him to react. He didn't. He reportedly turned off the phone and said, "We don't respond to noise." But Catherine noticed the way he clenched his jaw afterward. The tension wasn't just in his words. It was in his body, in the way he carried himself. He hadn't just been attacked. He'd been challenged, and Meghan knew exactly how to hit where it hurt most. His dignity. The leaked letter. Then came the twist nobody expected. Days later, a letter surfaced online, a scanned image of what appeared to be private correspondence between Meghan and a senior palace staff member from years earlier. The letter laid out her grievances, mistreatment, lack of support, emotional distress. It ended with a chilling line. "If my voice must be silenced, then history will speak for me." The leak hit the press like wildfire. Meghan claimed she had nothing to do with its release. Her team called it a gross violation of privacy. Yet insiders quietly suggested the opposite, that it was her way of reclaiming control. Whatever the truth, the effect was undeniable. The world was divided again. The recorded call. But the most explosive development was still to come. 2 weeks later, snippets of the supposed phone transcript between William and Harry appeared in select U.S. outlets. Word-for-word quotes from their private conversation. One line in particular sent shockwaves around the world. "You force my hand. Harry, I have to protect the crown, even if it means losing my brother." The leak set the internet ablaze. Was it authentic? Who recorded it? And who leaked it? The palace refused to comment, but privately, insiders whispered that William had realized something far darker. Someone was recording him. Someone wanted this destruction on tape. From that moment forward, everything changed. William stopped taking Harry's calls. All communication went through lawyers. Security protocols around private communications were tightened overnight. The monarchy had officially gone into lockdown. So who had the original recording? Because whoever did wasn't done, and their next move would send the entire royal household into panic mode. Are you starting to see the chess match playing out? Because we're heading into the final act, and it's more shocking than you can imagine. Catherine's master plan. Every war has its quiet strategist. In this one, that strategist wasn't a general, nor a king, nor even a royal advisor. It was Catherine, Princess of Wales. While the world saw her as the serene figure smiling at charity events, the devoted mother, the loyal wife, inside palace walls, she was something else entirely. William's anchor, his sounding board, and when needed, his quiet weapon. But Catherine didn't fight with words. She fought with timing. It began months before the official announcement. At that point, the situation with Meghan had already become unbearable. Every event became a comparison game. Meghan versus Catherine. American spontaneity versus British restraint. But Catherine wasn't competing. She was observing. From the very beginning, she'd sensed something wasn't right. Meghan's charm was magnetic, yes, but her actions didn't match her words. Then came the moment everything shifted. It was a spring luncheon before an official event. Catherine and Meghan were seated together, surrounded by aides. At first, the conversation was light. Flowers, charities, upcoming plans. But then, Meghan leaned in and said something under her breath that froze Catherine mid-sentence. "You'll see. They love me now. But one day, they'll fear me." Catherine didn't react outwardly. She simply smiled. That composed, royal smile she'd perfected for years. But inside, a cold understanding settled in. Meghan wasn't here to join the family. She was here to master it. That night, Catherine told William exactly what had been said. He dismissed it at first. She probably meant it jokingly. But Catherine shook her head. You didn't see her face. From that moment forward, Catherine began quietly documenting patterns. Not as a spy, but as a safeguard. Notes on Meghan's contradictions, her demands, her shifting narratives. She never accused, never exaggerated. She simply recorded. When Palace HR later asked for internal feedback regarding Meghan's integration into royal duties, Catherine's input became the cornerstone of that secret file. But she didn't stop there. Behind the scenes, Catherine maintained fragile relationships within the palace, reassuring staff, soothing tempers, making sure people didn't walk out during the height of tension. She was the calm inside the storm, one courtier said. While everyone was panicking about leaks, Catherine was quietly rebuilding trust where it had been shattered. What most people don't realize is that when William finally decided to issue the public statement, it was Catherine who gave the final nudge. Not with pressure, but with clarity. "You've been carrying this for too long," she told him one evening. "You're trying to protect everyone. But who's protecting you?" Those words struck deep. Then she said something that changed everything. "Every time you defend her, you give her power. Every time you stay silent, she controls the story. End it. William, for us, for the crown." He didn't answer right away. But hours later, he summoned his advisors and ordered the draft of the statement. That's the thing about Catherine. She didn't shout. She didn't demand. She simply planted the truth and let it grow. After the statement went public, Catherine's role deepened. While William handled the politics, Catherine handled the people. She became the emotional core of the royal response, ensuring staff morale stayed intact and that the public saw not bitterness, but quiet resilience. At official engagements, she smiled wider, embraced more openly, laughed with children, hugged volunteers, and radiated a calm that stood in stark contrast to Meghan's defiant media blitz. Every public appearance was a message, not of words, but of tone. The monarchy was not angry. It was steady. And it worked. Polls began to shift. Public sympathy that had wavered during Meghan's interviews began returning to William and Catherine. The people saw dignity in their restraint, a lesson Catherine had learned from the late Queen herself. But behind closed doors, Catherine was caring more than anyone realized. Late at night, after the children were asleep, she and William would sit in their private study, analysing press coverage, strategizing the next move. She read every headline. She knew exactly which narratives were gaining traction and which were slipping. She had become, in essence, the monarchy's silent strategist. But her composure came at a cost. One aide described her as beautifully broken during those months. Elegant in public, exhausted in private, there were nights she didn't sleep at all. She'd stare at the fireplace, saying she didn't recognize the world anymore. That kindness had become weakness. And yet she never wavered. Even when Meghan's team launched new attacks, leaks, accusations, emotional podcasts, Catherine stayed centered. Every insult only made her resolve stronger. Because Catherine understood something Meghan never did. Power doesn't come from noise. It comes from silence. Silence builds mystery. Mystery builds respect. And respect, not popularity, sustains monarchies. The question nobody's asking. So here we are. After everything we've uncovered, the secret file, the devastating phone call, Meghan's counterattack, Catherine's master plan. We're left with one haunting question. Was Prince William right to draw this line in the sand? Let's recap what we know for certain. The evidence piling up around Meghan paints a picture of repeated protocol breaches, documented in a classified dossier that spans years. Staff testimonies reveal a pattern of manipulation and intimidation, while strategic leaks to media contacts turned private conversations into word-for-word headlines, leaving senior royals increasingly uneasy. Behind the headlines, the human toll is stark. Two brothers who once shared everything now find themselves on opposite sides of an ocean and an ideological divide. A family fractured by loyalty tests and staff members left traumatized after enduring prolonged tension. The monarchy itself is caught in a painful balancing act, weighing sentiment against survival. Public opinion has splintered. One half sees William as a steadfast leader, protecting an institution under siege. The other perceives him as cold and heartless, echoing the very warnings Meghan voiced. Both camps claim the moral high ground, each convinced they're defending what's right. But here's what still haunts royal watchers around the globe. Who leaked the existence of that secret file? Was it someone in the palace trying to force William's hand? Or was it Meghan's team trying to expose royal hypocrisy? Who recorded that devastating phone call between William and Harry? Because someone wanted that destruction documented, and they may still have more ammunition. What's in the rest of the file that William hasn't revealed? Because sources suggest what we know is just the tip of the iceberg. Will Harry and William ever reconcile? Or has that bridge been burned beyond repair? And perhaps most importantly, was this entire crisis avoidable? What this means for the future? What we're witnessing isn't just a family feud, it's a fundamental transformation of the British monarchy. William has made it clear that a new era is dawning, one where leaks and manipulation get no quarter. Personal feelings take a back seat to the crown's integrity, and the monarchy won't be turned into a tool for private agendas. But at what cost? He's lost his brother. He's created a permanent enemy in Meghan. He's divided public opinion, perhaps irreparably, and yet from his perspective, he had no choice. Because if he'd done nothing, the institution he was born to lead might not have survived long enough for him to inherit it. Here's what I think most people are missing in this story. Nobody's entirely right, and nobody's entirely wrong. Meghan entered that family believing she could modernize it, give it authenticity and empathy, but she underestimated how deeply tradition runs in an institution that survived 1,000 years. William believed he could protect both his family and the crown, but he underestimated how much his brother had changed and how far Harry would go to defend the woman he loves. Harry believed he could have it both ways, keep one foot in royal life while living on his own terms. But he underestimated how much his actions would be seen as betrayal. And Catherine? She did what royal women have always done, held everything together while pretending the cracks didn't exist. So now I want to hear from you. Do you think Prince William made the right decision? Should he have cut Meghan off completely? Or did he prove everything she said about the cold, heartless royal family? Was Meghan justified in fighting back? Or was she manipulating public sympathy while undermining the institution that gave her a global platform? Can Harry and William ever reconcile? Or is this divide permanent? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from you. And if you found this video insightful, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. We have more royal updates waiting for you.